Hello, Void. Been a little while, but, well, you know how my show goes. Whole bunch all at once, then a lot of radio silence. I'm trying to break it. I am. Am I going to be successful? I hope? Probably not. But we'll see. Alright, so here's another movie that I did. This is on my just recently watched. So it was one of those ones that I swore I'd reviewed at some point. I had to look back through my archives, my written logs, my phone log. I've got like three different places of what I've reviewed, and well, I guess I never touched on Galaxy Quest. Which, well, how can you not talk about Galaxy Quest? But, as I've said numerous times, that comedies are difficult to talk about because, other than saying, yeah, it's funny, you can't really go into it as well without, ruining the jokes. But this one does give me at least some things to talk about. So I watched this with some friends who hadn't actually seen this. I think one of the two hadn't. So it was great to expose someone to, well, one of the best Star Trek films of all time. Which is a pretty common consensus over the internet that Galaxy Quest is a better Star Trek film than most Star Trek films. And yeah, it does pretty good capturing the feel of that. Alright, so essentially Galaxy Quest is set in a world where Galaxy Quest is pretty much Star Trek. It's a TV show, and that has ended like some 20 years ago, and now the actors are still around making the convention circuits, hang out with the fans, taking whatever jobs they can, because they don't really have much of a career after this, but, they're making do. We've got Tim Allen as the commander, Peter Quincy Taggart, then Sigourney Weaver playing the then first mate, I guess. Essentially, she is the lieutenant that just quotes the computer. That was her role on the show, so that's all she's got. And Alan Rickman playing the actor who's too good for this role and kind of a Spock homage. And, well, turns out some actual aliens have been watching their show, and they think they're historical documents. They've actually modeled their ship completely off of, well, the ship from the show, and are trying to emulate their society. However, when an evil alien overlord has noticed them, particularly hearing rumors of their mysterious device that can do untold things, he wants it. Well, the Omega 13. So, what is the Omega 13? Well, they don't even know. They just built it based on what they saw and heard on the TV show. Well, so they get an actual commander, so they think, to come up and sort it out. Now, then Tim Allen's character is pretty much drunk, not paying attention, assumes they're fans because he does these fan appearances every once in a while anyway, so doesn't take it seriously and ends up, well, realizing he bit off more than he can chew, but get the rest of his crew in, and he's actually giving it his all to try to, well, mean something. The movie is great. The cast is brilliant in this one. Tim Allen can be really take it or leave it, but for this kind of William Shatner homage, he nails this. Particularly when an abrasive Tim Allen is kind of what you want in something like this, so he was working. Sigourney Weaver is always fun, and Alan Rickman was stealing most scenes. Unless he was up against Tony Shalhoub. Tony Shalhoub, just his character's reactions to everything is amazing. He was pretty much acting as though his character was baked off his ass, and if you watch his character with that in mind, it is utterly hilarious to see him just neat to most things. So, the effects can be a little dated at times, particularly when they're doing some CG stuff, but the practical effects actually still are pretty good, particularly with the pig lizard, and this movie's just endlessly quotable for the I quote the Fermian aliens all the time, so. And have for years. This movie came out in '99. The comedy still holds up. It's a lovely skewering of Star Trek tropes. While it's not really making it's poking gentle fun at it because they are doing the same things but kind of pointing it out along the way and really go, I'm stuck having to do this. Why is it like this? So it's a good time. I highly recommend it. And at only a PG rating, it's really easy to show pretty much anyone Galaxy Quest. It's one of the few movies that I can't give it less than a 10. It's a fun movie. And one that I keep coming back to. But I don't really know how much else I could really go and do on Galaxy Quest, but if you haven't seen it, definitely check into it. Even if you're not big into Star Trek, the humor itself does stand pretty well on its own. Alright. See you soon, Void. I'm gonna see how many of these I can chew through. See you soon.